50% of children are sexually abused. That's 1 out of 2.
What the children don't understand is, first of all, when they upload something on the internet, it is being stored somewhere in some hard drive.
Children and youngsters, especially teenagers, can be groomed either in person or in the online world by a stranger or by someone they know.
And you don't want the information of your children, your photos, things like that, being there on the dark and deep web.
Hi, I'm Tina. I'm the mother of a school-going child. As for the consequences in the online space, children know more than we think they know. And sometimes children know more than what we know. Today's youngsters are very well equipped. Parents sometimes are ill equipped to handle the children's online and technological knowledge. Even an 8-year-old can take a phone, snap a photo, and send it to another person. Say they can take a snap with the family at the beach and send it to an uncle or an aunt. So it's fairly simple and easy nowadays to get on the online space. For more information on the online space, I'll let my husband Nachi talk about it.
I'm Nachi. I'm a social media and digital media consultant. But above all that, I am the father of a school-going child. So even though I have worked for more than 20 years in the online media space, and I teach this and I train people and I consult and I work with large organizations, NGOs, nonprofits, all of that. But above all that, as a father, I think a lot about how online digital media, social media impacts our children. Social media and digital world, they are great innovations. They have a lot of usefulness. There's a lot of implications and applications to our real world. But essentially, these are all tools created for adults. These are created for commerce, for helping people in many ways, but they're all for grown-ups. They're not designed with children in mind. So it's really important for us as parents and as people who deal with children to understand this. So I've had this training with children in schools. I have taught and trained people who work with children, academicians. I want to share with you a few things that are important for you to know. Apart from this, I'll also give some source links and research links in the document that is attached with this video, so you can do your own research. But I'll just take a few minutes and give you some high-level thoughts. First thing is, children are often not educated about what happens after they share or post something on social media. They just don't think about the implications. They just don't even know what happens after that. They just think it's an app, and for example, if they post something on WhatsApp or some messaging app or on social media, they are very interested in this. Obviously, you can see they are interested in devices and these social networks and so on, because they are designed to keep children hooked into the system. We call it gamification, which means it's like a game. Every app that is designed for social media is gamified, which means they give them rewards. It triggers certain hormones in the brain that keeps them happy. They just keep doing things because they have these dopamine triggers and so on. So children are often, they are interested, they are almost in some cases addicted to this, but they do not understand the implications of what happens after they share. For example, many children that I speak to do not understand how the data is transmitted. Right? So when you post something on social media or on a messaging app or something, what happens is it transmits, it transfers that information over to the company's servers. So it's basically a set of computers. So these computers access and store this information. And not only they store, it is copied into many servers, multiple servers all over the world. In the sense, it makes copies of that photo in multiple computers, for the easiest way of understanding it. This is called mirroring, and they do it for backup. The reason that the companies do it is because if something happens in one location, the data will be safe in another location. That's why they call it mirroring. But basically, it's like making copies of these things. So what the children don't understand is, first of all, when they upload something on the internet, it is being stored somewhere in some hard drive, in some place. They can call it cloud, they can call it whatever the name it is, but it's basically stored in somebody's custody. So it's important for children to understand that. As adults, we make choices, but as children, they don't even know. I've heard lots of stories of children posting things they shouldn't be posting, saying things they shouldn't be saying, because they don't think. They're just children, right? So they just move forward and they just do it, and in the spur of the moment. And then there are implications which they don't understand. First of all, I want to say it's important for children to understand and be educated about it. But more than that, it's for you also as parents to understand that this is what is happening. It's not like like there can be privacy, the words like privacy, end-to-end encryption, all of these are thrown around. So suddenly you feel, oh, it's safe. Nothing has happened so far. So you also feel it's safe. You have to think about it, especially when it comes to children-related things. So speak to your children, educate them. Second is access to shared information. So the moment you post something on the internet, who has access to it? Companies. They have access to it. They are all commercial organizations. Have you heard of any not-for-profit kind of people creating social network? No, these are commercial businesses that have commercial interest. That is their primary interest. So they will do everything possible for their commerce to grow, which is what they say they are. We can't even blame them because they say it upfront. The thing is, we need to understand that when it comes to our children and our children's data and their communication on digital social media, these companies have access to those details. I know many people in the industry that don't even share pictures of their children. Once there was a thing where CEO of a large social media network didn't even put pictures of his child for a long time. And there was a big thing about it because he knows what happens, right? So these companies have access to it. This data is proprietary to them. In a way, they own it. They own that data. And then there is this concept of big data where they mine these things. They take all this data and they mine it. Now, all of these are at least for commercial purpose. There is some kind of a law and regulations in some countries, depending on the country's law and privacy policies and so on. But the bigger point is there is something called the deep web or the dark web. These are areas like things that you cannot track. These are people who take this information and it goes into the deep and what we call as deep web or dark web. And these are things that you can't even track. This happens under the surface, right? You would have heard of hacking and things like that. So these are people who do things in a stealthy manner, and you don't want the information of your children, your photos, things like that, being there on the dark and deep web with people that you don't want these things to be with. So it is important for you to take these protective environments. And today with artificial intelligence, VR and AR and all these high computing power, it's very easy for people to manipulate pictures or create things that are not even real. There are these things called deep fakes. So you can even create fakes of children. All they need is one photo, one piece of data and information that can be taken and converted to anything for that matter. And what does these things do? They have long-term implications with the children. It implicates their future, their career maybe. When they grow up, and these things are not going to be gone. Internet is there forever. Social media is there forever. Storing these things somewhere. So something might surface after 20 years, after 15 years, after 10 years, which might impact the career of the child. And these are things we need to think about. And not just that, the mindset, their social life. What happens if they see a picture after 15 years, which they are not even supposed to see? What happens to those relationships at that point in time? Maybe they've moved on, but these things can bring back memories, can impact the children in ways that we cannot even imagine. There are lots of implications related to online and social media and the digital world when it comes to children, and we need to be thinking about it as a responsible parent.
I hope this video helps in increasing our awareness and keeping our children safe.